And so we're live. So, welcome to another episode of From the Factory Floor. Very kindly this week, we've got some of our founders who are returning to the podcast. Hi, Ian. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. You?
Good. Yeah, not so bad. The sun's shining at the moment, although the temperature's still rather chilly, so I can't particularly complain. So, obviously, it's been a while since we last had a chat about PLYtime, so just in case anyone missed the last podcast where you're on, do you want to just give a very quick overview of PLYtime and sort of your journey so far?
Yeah, sure. We're an online learning company, and we're trying to make learning more effective and affordable for people, so it works better for students, parents and tutors, really. So we're passionate about helping people to be their best. So we've developed this learning platform, and it's a completely new concept. So from a tutor's point of view, we're trying to make it really easy for them. They don't have to find their students. There's no preparation. There's no marking, no travel. It's all within the system. So it should be a lot easier for tutors. And for students, it's engaging. The learning, we know kids love learning through play. So it's engaging, and there's self-help videos. And that's all supported by a tutor at the end of the day. And from a parent's point of view, it's more flexible. It's hopefully more affordable. And it's more accessible for them. So no matter where they are, they'll be able to access it because it's all online. So I mean, that's what PLYtime learning is about.
It's that really helping kids learn in the way that they want to learn, which is playing games. And obviously video games are rife these days. So, yeah. And obviously with how disrupted education's been recently, obviously it's almost more important than ever that services like PLYtime exist to try and help kids get to where they should be after.
We think so, yeah.
You stick that as a little piece on the marketing website.
Yeah.
So obviously it's been quite a journey for you guys. Obviously we started chatting probably, was it about 2 years ago, Ian, when we had our first conversation? And obviously we've gone through the whole process with TSF, scoping out what PLYtime is, building it, and obviously now you're live, open to for users to come on, use the platform, even going for investment, which has been, I can imagine, been quite a journey as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's all sort of small. You have this vision, I think, at the start, and you think, all right, well, I'll go and do this, and then within a few weeks or months, it'll all sort of happen. But it takes a long time to get along that journey. I mean, we started with an Innovate UK loan. A grant, sorry, that then allowed us to meet yourselves, and then we've got to spend the time building it, and then it takes time then to have a product that you can introduce to investors in order for them to get excited about it. So it all just takes a bit of time, really, but we are making steady progress with it.
No, I can imagine there's been obviously the investment, having that confirmed. I can imagine there's been a massive highlight. I can imagine and there's a lot of challenges now. Obviously, we've spoken about some of them before, but obviously during the process. I mean, would you say that the investment's the highlight for you, or was it, the first client on board or the first tutoring session that's been run?
We've had a few, really. There's we had a case over Christmas. We just put out a post on Facebook asking whether tutors were interested, and within sort of 24 hours, we had over 200 people applying saying they were really interested, and that was really cool.
It was great. Apart from that, we had to reply to them all. It took a long time.
Yeah, but then talking, so we then met quite a few, had a Zoom with people and talking to them, they really got it. They really got the concept and thought it was really great, really liked the idea of the Focus 15s and understood that children couldn't concentrate. And that was really great. And then a similar post really out to parents and asking them for, help trialing it and talking to them. They really, really liked the idea from the children. They realised their children couldn't concentrate for long periods of time, and they realised that tutoring is so expensive. So it was really nice to have something that was potentially more affordable. So from talking to our customers, both tutors and parents, it was really nice to get that sort of feedback. Yeah, the affirmation of what we're doing is right, and they like the idea.
I can imagine, especially obviously because kids have had to be taught at home now. Parents have really had that appreciation of actually what teachers and tutors, how hard it actually is. The old adage of those who can teach sort of thing. And now people have had to go, actually, do you know what? It's invaluable to have a tutor to pick this up and do it in the right way, because most people never have to actually try and teach a child something outside of basic things. So, I mean, obviously those are great things. Obviously, you can imagine you've had quite a few hurdles to jump over. I mean, like I say, everything takes time, and obviously being new to tech, as well, and not being techies like myself, it's something that's, I can imagine, is very alien. It's quite a big jump to, almost get over, just to really get immersed into the product.
Yeah, well, I think for us, because we've sort of launched with an MVP, and the idea is that we're obviously getting people to test it, to trial it, and in a way, some of it is to find little glitches and things that don't quite work. But every single time something is found that doesn't quite work, it takes a lot of time then to resolve it, to sort it out, to then work out how to fix it. So it's those kind of things. I think that there's an awful lot of things that you need to resolve, and we're really keen to make it a good, positive experience for people, and therefore you spend a lot of time doing the customer services, side of things.
And we are already a very small team, so it seems like we spend all our time in it.
Well, I always remember our conversations when it's almost like, sort of catching up, almost what have you been up to, and it's just, here's everything a business owner has to do, and it's obviously, like I say, in such a small team.
Yeah.
It's just you guys. I mean,
and I think that goes back to the sort of bit about the investment, is that as soon as you get that investment, it does allow you to then start thinking about, right, where do we need to put people? Because I think you're doing it because you have to do it. But reality is there are some better people out there to do some of these things than us. I mean, we want to, as we said before, we would like to recruit, a tech person now to start building our tech team. Because that's what we need, and it's going to be difficult to do, but at least now we're in a position where we can do it, which is a great sort of step forward, really.
Yeah, and going back to things take time. Obviously, it is really hard to build a team. Whether it's startups, even TSF, finding the right people is hard. And like you say, with such a broad skill set like yourselves have got, you want to almost get someone to do the mission critical bits like the tech. So, I mean, how have you found actually trying to build that team and getting people onboarded into PLYtime?
Well, I think we started. I mean, we've got a small number of people working for us now in content creation roles, sort of marketing and customer services roles. Finding we were very lucky, and that was done during lockdown. So we basically had employees working for us who we'd never met before, who I think that we met them the first time after about 9 months of working for us. And that was the first time we physically met them. But we were very lucky with the people we got. So we've got two really good people there. And that's been really positive. I think finding people, a tech person, for instance, is proving a little bit harder at the moment because the market is so difficult for hiring.
And also, we don't know exactly what we're looking for.
No.
so it's good to be able to bounce, things off you guys as well, to having that support, telling us what we should be looking for.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's about sharing knowledge and resources, because, when we started talking, almost 2 years ago now, it was, you guys are the experts in that. And obviously we like to think, at least, we're the experts in tech, because even as myself, who's been in tech now for a good couple of years, I find it very hard to interview a dev and actually understand what level they were, how their thought process are. So that's almost where you do need that network around you. I mean, how have you found building that? Obviously you've got ourselves. Is there anyone else you've kind of spoken to, or other founders, for advice?
I think not necessarily founders so much. I don't think we've had enough time to speak to anyone.
That is on our list to do, networking at some point.
We're kind of speaking to a few, almost like people that we know who've been in, let's say, so they're not founders now, people who we know, who you sort of bounce ideas off, who may come back with a bit of advice, or have you tried this, or have you tried that, so... Yeah. I know people have been close to recruitment, so we're speaking that they put us in touch with somebody else who's also involved. It's things like that, using your network a little bit. It would be great to have a bit more time to do it, but I think you need it. I think any startup needs support and needs help, and you sort of ask people, can you help us? Can you point us in the right direction? It's really useful when they do.
Like you said, you want experts around you in doing what they're good at, whether it's people like us at TSF, where we're experts in the tech, whether it's legals, whether it's tutors and creating content. Someone can try and do everything, but like you say, it's only 70 hours in a day, and starting a startup is hard, especially when you get people who've never, been involved with tech before. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of learning to understand, and shocks along the way, I can imagine.
Yeah, and I think you want people who, whilst we've got a fairly broad knowledge of a lot of functional areas, we want people in each of those functional areas better than us. So we want really, so take marketing as an example. We both had an experience of marketing to an extent, but we want a really good marketeer. And the same with the tech. You want somebody who's better than you in all those areas. Then hopefully the sum of the parts is going to be better than what we could do on our own.
Yeah, I mean, that's really why you want experts. Like you say, recruitment for us has always been one where we want to rely on good people to help us find them, because finding good people is hard anyway. Finding good people who are the right fit is even harder. So you really have to engage with people who can then help you with those sort of things. And like I say, same with legal sort of matters or financial, just to make sure that almost sanity check, and also just bounce ideas off as well. So I can imagine, it's a lot in your guys' heads around where PLYtime could go, but obviously having someone almost to be a soundboard and just almost check your thinking and almost.
And that's one of the good things I think about sort of now having an investment, having a couple of sort of NED type roles. We've got a little, a group of almost like a board now forming that we can bring the strategy, have it analysed by other people who may have different views, and that's a really good thing. That they can share their experiences and tell us where actually I'd do this or that. That's a useful thing to have.
I mean, have you found that obviously that transition from obviously it's in your guys' head, it's full steam ahead in terms of your idea, and almost now having that almost accountability to some extent to almost say this is where we're going, this is our thoughts, and obviously that change from having all steam ahead to almost that feedback, has that been sort of a hard transition, or something you found really positive?
Well, I think because we came from the corporate world before, almost that's what life is in, more like in the corporate world. You present things and people give feedback, and then nothing ever happens, and then, and then you go and do it again, and then so it's kind of it's almost going a little bit more back towards that, which I think there's some positives of having that feedback from other people. So I don't think that big piece is going to be too difficult. I think it at certain points in time, it depends how big the challenge is against some of the things you want to do. If you've had we haven't had that yet, but if you've had in your idea, this is what's going to happen, and someone said, everybody else disagrees with you, then,
we'll all come round to Ian's way of thinking.
It's that element of going, do you know what? I am the expert. I remember working on projects before where there has been a real expert in the room, and you can't argue with that person. If everyone else said, I think we should do it this way, they said no. And the amount of times they were actually right is the thing that's actually quite funny and quite interesting. So obviously,
I think we have been quite lucky in a way. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have lots of issues between us as well. But in a way, we are quite lucky that we can work together, because we do change our opinions, don't we? And from talking to each other. I think if you were just a single person on your own, it is really hard unless you have those people that you trust around you.
Yeah, I think we work with quite a lot of solo founders, so we know the struggles, and it's why we really encourage founders to talk to each other. It's why we have that open office, which going back to almost your point earlier, Ian, about meeting people 2 years after you've hired them. Almost we had that we didn't actually get to meet for about 2 years until we're almost nearly at the end of the project. But having that ability to meet people and talk to people is so important, for individual founders. And obviously, with the experience you guys have now got as well, I can imagine the advice you could give to someone who's just about to start their journey being valuable.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have learnt a lot about the process of it. I think there would be things that we do differently. If we had our time again, we do them differently, but they're just learnings we'll take forward with us. But I think
the other thing we've realised is, it is important to get together, even though we are kind of working remotely. It is really important, because you gain so much from those face-to-face meetings, even if it's not every week or whatever. At least the regular meetings with our staff and with yourselves and things. It is important.
Yeah, not just for the fact that you brought in that fantastic lemon drizzle cake, but it is that. It's one of the things we've always said is that face to face is so important, just to actually be able to hash ideas out. Having a whiteboard is so much better than having a Zoom or a Zoom call on a Google Jamboard. The tools are there, but nothing quite replaces that face to face and being able to actually talk to someone across the table.
The other day we were with a customer, and it was really nice having a Zoom, because we could actually guide them through logging on. When could you do that before?
Yeah, sharing a screen for a tech product is a pretty useful thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
So obviously, you mentioned you guys are live now. You've got paying customers on board, having tutoring sessions, and obviously now you've got the investment. I can imagine you're kind of looking to what's next for PLYtime. Have you guys got any ideas around where PLYtime's heading to, or what the next stage for you guys is?
I've got James, so I'll be here now. I'll just tell you.
You keep talking, I'll edit it.
But the next big, obviously recruitment is really important for us and development going forward. But the next big thing we want to do is research, and we're talking to Northwest University. We're going to do some research into the tutoring sessions and the length of the sessions and frequency of them each week, which will be really exciting.
Yeah, because I think that's a really important piece for us because we're selling an educational product effectively. We want people to be able to believe. An independent study has been done to verify that what we tell them is actually legitimate. I think there's so many things out there that say they're going to be educational, but perhaps aren't at the end of the day as much as as good as you think they're going to be. We wanted somebody else to actually prove what we're saying works, and that'll be a really important step for us, I think. Yeah,
because also Focus 15, tutoring in 15 minutes isn't done anywhere. So we want to prove, it's really important that we get that sort of brand out there and that we prove that the benefits of those short focus sessions.
Yeah, because I remember when we first spoke, and you said, kids can't concentrate 15 minutes. I believe that. And then saying, well, why make a tutoring session any more than that? And so I've got friends who are tutors, and they'll tutor for an hour, 2 hours. And sort of when that really clicked for me was when you said, well, kids aren't concentrated.
Yeah.
And also making sure that they're engaged then after that. And, I wasn't the best for doing my homework. I'm sure my teachers back in the day will attest to that. But making learning engaging really is that sort of crux of what you do, and then really focusing in. That's why it's a Focus 15 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think from as well as sort of the engagement, it's not quite as burdensome on people. So like a student sort of preparing for, I've got to sit there for an hour, is a different feeling to thinking, well, I've got 15 minutes to sit there, and then it's a very, very different thing. So hopefully, when we get that proven, then we can start to market it a bit harder, because we're not going to really particularly market it then. During that time, obviously, we need to develop the site and make it a lot more, than the MVP that it was when it started.
Yeah.
And then we want to try and raise further investment as well.
Yeah, because the idea, we started with primary maths, but the idea is obviously to extend into other primary subjects, English and 11 plus, and then beyond into secondary subjects
geographies as well. So we had a conversation, really interesting conversation with people in Australia who said that you should come across. We're looking for something like this. So there's people who've shown an interest in it. I've been speaking to people in India as well. Yeah. So there's people who are interested in taking it across. So we just need the capability, the investment to give us the capability to allow us to do it, because we couldn't do that on our own, could we? That's what we couldn't do on our own.
Possibly not.
No.
Although I am willing to go to Australia to help them.
To try.
It's one of those. It's a lot of things, and I think obviously now you've had some experience of what it's like to go through the development process of a tech product. Knowing how long things take, and almost having a slightly, I don't know if you have got a different expectation and how just tech works. At times, the complexities can seem quite daunting once you actually even just start doing it on a whiteboard and going, well, if this happens, then what happens? And say even internationalizing something in scale is a really big challenge. But I think but obviously you guys have got the passion and the drive to do it. Hence, you've actually managed to get to the stage where you've got investment and are building, the wider team to start supporting that activity. So, I suppose as part of that, and going back to almost what we said before, you guys have been through a lot, and I can imagine a lot of startups and founders will probably want to talk to you and go, how did you do it? Especially if they're sat there on their own. I mean, is there a piece of advice, obviously, especially at the stage you are now, that if you, like say, you do some things differently?
I think for me, I think the biggest thing is almost like you have to believe and be passionate about what you're doing, because you will get knockbacks. You will have times when you think, oh my, what am I doing? You're talking about, you see your friends and what they're doing and what you're doing, and you think, really? But so you've got to believe in it. You've got to think, actually, I'm doing something good. I'm doing something that I want to do. In our case, we feel like we're doing something that's going to help people. Yeah. And we really want to help. It's like almost, there's something here that's going to help people. If we can just get it to the right stage, then we can really help people. And that keeps driving us forward. So when you have those those sort of difficult times in a way, you've got something that you keep reminding yourself, well, I'm doing it for a good reason. So I think that's really important, I think.
Yeah. And I would go back to the people as well. Again, like we said, having those people around you, you need to have, some support.
Yeah, partnerships, people you can talk to. Yeah. All of that helps, I think.
I mean, I've always said the purpose of what people do in it is the raison d'etre, and it's why, the folks TF want to work with you guys, because it's not, obviously the money's important, but it's not about the money. It's almost being able to look at some statistics and seeing that kids are genuinely improving and actually getting genuine benefits.
We had one. There's one little boy who started, and we've noticed that everybody's kind of started on easy questions, and it's really hard to win on the game on easy questions because we don't get any bonuses. So he started doing this, and he was obviously not winning. He was coming fourth every time, and we kind of said, well, maybe he needs to change. And now we've noticed over the last 3 weeks since he's been playing, he's winning every single time. Yeah. He's testing himself on super hard questions. And you think that, and you can see his score going up as he's doing it. And actually, that's like, I mean, I get.
He started playing.
Hairs on the back of my arm stand up because that's what it's about for me. Because that's what it's about.
Well, he started playing before school, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he's actually playing before he goes to school to get a bit of thing, to see if he can win, which is great.
That's what it's about.
I suppose there is the two parts. It's being so passionate about learning that actually before the kid is actually going to school, they're actually sat there wanting to do effectively learning, because it's not just it's not getting a textbook out and reading through Latin declensions before school. It's actually doing something kids enjoy doing. A bit of competition is always a good thing, in my opinion.
And that then drives you to say, well, right, if we could make better games, more games, that's what we want to do. So it'd be more engaging. And it's that, you want to do everything because you can see the effects it can have, really.
What you can be doing. Yeah.
I mean, like I say, that's always been why we've enjoyed working with you guys. So passionate about the reason it exists. And, Ian says it all the time, money's the applause, not the reason for doing something. Obviously it's important, but, actually seeing a kid improve and, some kid eventually doing the A-level revision through it and they get an A rather than a B and get to go to the university they want to do is obviously kind of it's that hair on the back of your neck standing up and goosebump moment.
Yeah.
And I think for us, there's a lot of people who turn to tutors when they desperately need it. So either they've fallen really, really far behind, or they've got an exam coming up and they need to sort of cram in for it. And for us, we don't think that it should be like that. It should almost be something you can dip in and out of and just check where you're going. And so we want it to be a slightly different, view of how tutoring should be used. And there's no reason for it to be a cramming thing. You can, we want it to be come in for a few weeks, get yourself back where you need to be, or just check that you're okay, or work on one thing, then come back again in 6 months' time or a year's time. That's fine.
An educational MOT.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Exactly that. It's like why wait until your car breaks down?
Rather than cure.
I've never thought of it that way, but I quite like that. But no, honestly, I've always enjoyed talking to you two, and obviously, hopefully, we'll speak very soon. But thanks very much for coming on. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you guys or have a look at PLYtime, what it's about, where can they? What's the web address for them?
It's PLYtime.com. Mm-hmm. And they can contact us at contact@PLYtime.com.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Marketing department came up with that one.
Contact us, email. Fantastic. Thank you very much again, guys, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Okay, thanks,
James.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers. See you.